terrific basketball team. We went back to the NCAAs, and in fact, it might have been the most talented team that I had. We had Washburn at center, Charles Shackelford, a name which will come up later at one forward, Benny Bolton, Nate McMillan, who was in the NBA. We had a terrific team, and we wound up playing in the St. John's in a regional final. Spud Webb was in his senior year. It was Cozell McQueen's and Lorenzo Charles' senior year. Wound up playing St. John's in the regional finals out in Denver, Colorado. And in the last minute of play, big play, came down. We're down by 3. Cozell McQueen gets it, drives to the basket, shoots. It goes in, and he's got the foul shot. If he makes it, I think it's a tie, and the referee calls a charge. Go down the other end. Chris Mullen hits a 3-point play. We wind up losing. The significance of this particular game is after it was over, I called up home, as I did after every game that we played. My father had his yellow pad games where he'd keep all of the mistakes that I would make in a game, and then we'd go over it after the game. He no longer needed, at least I felt, he didn't need the yellow pad anymore, but he still kept those notes, and I would speak to him after every game. And I was particularly depressed after losing this game because I was so close to having my dream come true again. We were one game away from the Final Four, just one game away, and it slipped through our fingers. But I called home, and I was depressed, and my father said, "What are you down about?" And I said, "Hey, Pop, what do you mean I'm down? We just lost. We were so close, and we lost." He said, "Are you kidding me? You're so fortunate. Look at that. Look at the ring on your finger. Look at that national championship ring. Plus, you got the whole team back next year. You got a great job and a great Oh, he went on and on and on. And he made me feel really guilty about it. And I said, "You're right, Pop." And he made me laugh. And then when it was over, I said to him, "You know something, Dad?" And he said, "What?" I said, "I love you, Dad." And then I hung up. And the significance of that is those are the last 4 words that I ever said to my father. I said, "I love you, Dad," because that night he had a heart attack and he died. And it was a very traumatic thing for me. And those of you who've lost a loved one, you know the feeling. Well, that was the first time that it happened to me. And all my life, I had talked about how to overcome adversity. I talked about how you can be successful in a competitive environment. I'd spoken to business groups throughout the country, and I'd talk about the value of enthusiasm, the value of having a dream, and the value of work and in reaching your goals. And I talked about adversity, but I guess I really didn't know it until now. And I was no longer enthusiastic, and I did not have many dreams, and I didn't want to work anymore. And I found out that my life was going a little bit down in my performance, both in my personal and my business life. And I couldn't understand what it was I was missing. And so finally I went away by myself for a while to think about it. And I just realized about my dad. And I remembered that when I first became a coach, we sat down and my father said, "What do you want to do with this business?" I said, "Pop, I'm going to win a national championship someday." And he said, "You will. You'll do it." And I said, "It's really hard, Dad. A lot of people have coached don't win." He said, "You will. I know you will. You'll make it. You'll make it." And then I worked 8 years of my life before we even made the tournament. This tournament is my dream and my goal. I worked 8 years, never even made the tournament. I finally made it, and I own a college. And I celebrated at home with my family. And my father called me upstairs in his bedroom, and he said, "See that?" And there was a suitcase. And I said, "Yeah, where are you going?" He said, "It's packed." I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to the national championship with you this year." I said, "Pop, it's the first year I'm in the tournament." He said, "You're going to go there." We lost in the first round. The next year, we made the tournament again. I celebrated at my family's house. My dad said, "Suitcase is still packed." And I said, "Yeah, I know, we lost again." Then when I moved to North Carolina, it became a line. It was something my dad would always say to me. He'd say, "Son, my bags are packed. Suitcase is packed. I'm on my way. I'm ready. It's packed." And in 1983, when we won the national championship, I have a great picture of my dad and I hugging on center court. And I remember celebrating in the hotel afterwards and my father telling me, "I told you." His bags were packed, and there he was, and him telling me how proud he was of me and how much he loved me. And he said to me, he also said, as you would expect a father, he said, "I just want you to know, too, I can still knock you on your keister if I had to." I said, I know you can't, Bob." He said, "What are you going to do now, though?" I said, "I'm going to win it again." He said, "I think you will." I said, "What's hard?" He said, "Oh, you will." I said, "Dad, it's really hard." He said, "You will, and I'll be there." I said, "I know you will." And I have a great article where my dad, during the press conference in Albuquerque. He was in the back of the room, and a writer came up to him and said to him, "How do you feel? And what's this like?" And my father said that other than the day he married my mother, and not a nice thing, not many people talk that way, but my father said it. He said, other than the day he married my mother, this was the happiest moment of his life, because tonight was the night he saw his son's dream come true. Isn't it beautiful to be there when other people's dreams come true? Well, these are the things that were running through my mind after I lost my dad and when I was by myself. And all of a sudden it hit me that my father had given me something that no one else had given me, and that people don't give to each other. And I realized why I missed him so much. My whole family, my mom and my dad, but especially my dad, gave me a thing, I call it the gift my father gave me. That all throughout my life, when I had failed, when I flew to the wrong airport, when I lost by 20 points, when I didn't live up to a standard that someone else had set for me, or a standard I set for myself, or whenever people would find shortcoming in my life, my father would look me in the eye and he'd say, "I believe in you." The gift my dad gave me my whole life was he believed in my ability, he believed in my worth, and he was gone now. And that's what I missed so much. And I think it's one of the most significant lessons I've ever learned in my life. In a world where it's so filled with people who don't believe in each other, no wonder we have some of the problems. And from that day that I learned and realized the gift my father gave me, I made a decision that I would give that gift of belief to the people who I loved and the people who I worked with and the people who worked for me and the people I worked for. The idea that if you want to be successful in this world today, in the world of competition, or in just your personal life, if you can be enthusiastic, if you can have dreams, if you can have goals, and you can work and you can fail, but you also can give the gift of belief to other people, it'll come back to you tenfold. And that's what I learned after the St. John's game. And it's a gift that my dad gave me, and I've been trying hard to repay. And I wish we all could give it to each other.